Alright, so today I'm going to be sharing my life testimony, and I'm just so excited that I can actually share this with you, and I hope that this would be an encouragement. And today I was posting a Facebook post, and I was reflecting as I was putting this together. I was like, wow, like all these experiences that I went through, even if they were good, even if they were bad, it's like I'm so grateful because each of them, they're kind of shaping you, and you can use them to help other people in the future. So that's what really got me. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Everything that happens, we can look at it as it is a blessing, because you never know. You never know what experience that you may go through that is going to help other people. So let's get into it. And I named this presentation Finding Purpose, because that was the search in my life. I wanted to find some purpose. So I was born in Romania, and this is Europe right here, and that's where all my family lived, and that's where everything I had was. And when at the age of 4 years old, that's when my mom actually left to Spain. And I was left with my grandma and with my father. And it was kind of hard because, your mother just leaves when you're like 4 years old. And she went to Spain, not because she wanted to leave our family, but because there was so much poverty in Romania that we needed some money. So they promised her that she was going to probably work in a cruise, but she ended up working in a strawberry farm. So, she still chose to work there because she really needed money. So she stayed there for about 4 years in Spain. And I remember missing my mom so much and crying and wanting my mom to be with me. But that she was really far away, so I was with my grandmother, and religion wasn't like that big part of the family. My grandma was basically mostly taking care of that. I was being fed, and I had the things that I needed, but it was God wasn't really instilled into my heart at a tender age. When I was 6 years old, I moved to Spain, and that was because my mom came to Romania to pick me up, because while she was in Spain, she knew that smoking wasn't good, and she knew that certain things were not good that she was doing. But then there was a point in her life that she decided to quit all those things that were making her life miserable. She thought she was fine, but then that was making her life miserable. So once she decided to do that and she got baptized, she went back to Romania and she picked me up, and we went to Spain. And we started, when we moved to Spain, it was really interesting because since the day we moved there, we started moving to so many different places. I was not really settled to any place. We're in one place for a few months or a year, and then we moved to another province of Spain, and then different schools, and it was just like, I don't know, everywhere. It was just a lot of hustle and bustle. And I remember my mom, she had to go leave me at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. to go work at another field while I was waiting for my babysitter to come and to take me to school. So that was difficult too, because my mom was what had to go to be able to sustain our family. We were thankfully we had some friends that were helping us and things like that, but imagine a 6-year, 7-year-old child that is like, you really are attached to your family. So anyways, that was something that was happening, and moving to different places. And then finally we got to settle in one place, and that was in the coast of Spain. If you see, it's right, I don't know how to point it out, but it's on the right side of Spain, on the coast, and that's where we're able to settle. And there was a beautiful school there, so my mom started working there. They didn't admit me because there were too many people, so they didn't have room for me, so I still had to go to different schools and change. And but little by little, I was able to start making more friendships, and I was able to have the same friends for a longer time instead of changing and all this kind of thing. So it was hard to attach to anything. So here I am with my friends, and I just grew up I was just a normal Christian girl going to church and having friends, and then just looking forward to going to church just to be with the friends, not for anything else, not for religion or anything else, because I didn't understand anything. And I started living, like, my friends actually became my family, because the attachment with my mom started become less and less. We started having some problems and some conflicts within ourselves. So it was really hard to deal with my family, with the relationship and my family. And actually, I didn't mention, but in 2005, my parents got divorced. So that's why I'm just mentioning my mom, because it was just myself and her. So my friends became my family. I just started being really attached to them. So I was basically, like I said, going to church just because of my friends. And I was really involved in church activities. We're usually going out a lot and involved in youth groups. And I was just doing all these kind of things, and people at church, they were all happy for the young people because they're attending to all these different events that they're doing. I was attending to lots of events. But then you look at all these people here, but I would tell you that none of them actually had a close walk with God. None of them had a fulfilling life. All of them were just coming there to socialize. And that made me sad. And there was a point in my life that I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit going to church because I'm like, there's no point on this. There's so much theory being taught. There's so many things that I don't even understand that is being taught, and it's not changing my heart. It's not helping me to know of God. There's nobody that was sitting down with me saying, Cristina, let me help you. Let me show you how important is the love of God. And no, nothing of that. And I was going to different conferences and youth conferences more and more every year. I was traveling a lot and with my friends. And it was like kind of like I was searching for something better, and I was not able to find it. So anyways, I started high school, and this is the whole property that we had. There is the boys' dorm down at the bottom in the left, and the women's dorm is up on the hill. And there's the middle school, there's kindergarten, there's high school, and they have garden. It's a really beautiful place. This is out in the mountains, and I was actually living in the city, but we were close to the mountains, and it's really a beautiful place. But once I started going to high school, I would say that was my downfall. If before I was doing good, and I was trying to like move forward in life, and actually before high school I was homeschooled for like 2 years, and I was trying to like put my life together. But once I got in high school, it was like everything just fell apart. I started having different friends, and this is actually a Christian school, but most of the people that were going to that school were not Christians. And the influences were just, as you can expect. It was all about partying, it was all about video games, it was all about, toxic relationships and just bad like vocabulary and everything that like you're probably already acquainted with what happens at high school. So for me, every morning, the only reason why I wanted to wake up is to go to school. There was nothing else, because I was being entertained at school. I had my friends, and there was nothing else that I could do at home instead of watching movies and, I don't know, maybe go for a walk or just go to the grocery store to help my mom do some errands. Like, my mom didn't even let me go out with my friends sometimes. So it was hard. And for me, I was like, wow, I'm being restricted so much. Like, I can't do what I want to do. And I was frustrated. So, it was just like those years in high school. It was intense. And I really didn't have much to live for. Just to be with my friends. And like I said, my relationship with my mom just started becoming less and less. And then once I was in high school, like, I completely forgot God. I started just wanting to do things that everything that I did, it was like dishonoring God. And I didn't have any desire to honor Him because I don't know Him. Why should I honor somebody? Why should I love somebody if I don't know him? So another thing that I want to say is that this is probably a funny picture. You're like, what are you talking about camels? Well, I wanted to be a veterinarian, a wildlife veterinarian. And I had this dream since I was like 5 years old. I knew I was going to be a veterinarian. I knew I was going to go to a university and study there for like 8 years, because that's how long you have to be at a university to do the wildlife veterinary. So that was something that it was my dream. And then another part of my dream was, as I was being a veterinarian, one thing that I wanted to do is travel the world with a RV and longboard. Amazing, right? It's like, veterinary, and then you're just traveling the world with the longboard. Great. And I was just really looking forward to that. And I had that dream, and of course in high school there were some problems, so I was like, oh, I'm not getting good enough grades. I better, maybe I need to change my dream. Maybe I can become a graphic designer or something that's a little less. But I still had the dream of becoming a veterinarian, doing this kind of stuff. And I never asked God, is this something that you want me to do? I never did that. It's like, no, I have a hold of my life, so I choose what I want to do. So, and I was happy with the idea. Well, there was a time when my mom actually got remarried. And my life, since that day, changed completely. Even before she got married, she wanted to go to the United States because he's from the United States, my stepdad. And, I was in my last year of high school, and I was getting ready to go to university. I actually wanted to go to Ireland and study there. That was my dream place to live. And my mom started dating this guy, and then they got married. And then my mom is like, one day she's like, we're going to go to the United States. And that day I was like, no, I'm not going to the United States. I am here. I already have my friends. I already have my dreams. I already know what I'm going to do. There's no way I'm going to go to the United States and start everything from scratch. No way. So I knew about this, that we were planning on leaving to the United States when probably at the beginning of my last year of high school. And then those months, as I was finishing high school, they were the worst months of my whole life, because I started being I was looking at my friends, I'm like, I'm gonna have to give you up. It was so difficult, and I was just so mad and angry that this had to happen. And I tried to tell my mom, can you please leave me here? Can you please go and I'll stay here? And I was trying to find a place to stay and friends to stay with, and I almost convinced my mom. But then high school finished, and it was in September 8th that we arrived to the United States. And like you can see here, there's quite a distance from Spain to the star that you see. Is not even the East Coast, but we went to the West Coast. And I remember that day, I was just I was motionless. I didn't even want to think about what was going on. I got on the plane and things like that, but I was just this is not what I want. Who knows what's going to happen here? But little by little, I was trying to tell myself, well, you're in the United States. You can still be a veterinarian. Maybe you have better opportunities or better education or whatever. So I was just trying to talk myself, since I'm already in the airplane. It's you better make it good. So I arrived to the United States September 8th. And since the day we arrived to the United States, trials started coming. And it wasn't just because I left my friends, but now my parents, my mom and stepdad, started fighting every single day. Fighting and lots of screaming, and I was like, what's going on here? And I remember going outside. We're actually living in the country. I wasn't living in the city anymore. I never before lived in the country, and I liked it. I didn't have any problems with that. But I was I remember going out for a hike, and I was like, why, God, why did you bring me here? why did you bring me here and my mom to suffer? Because there's nothing, we're here in the country, my mom doesn't have anything to do, we're trying to make meets end, and, or is it? Ends meet? Okay. And I was just like so frustrated. And because of the schooling system in the United States is different than the European system, they told me that I had to still go to school. So for some reason, like finish high school. And I'm like, I already finished high school. But I was like, well, that's okay. I still want to go to university, so that's not going to be a problem. I can just go to school. So I started going to a public school in Newport, Washington. And as I was going to school, like, imagine, I was trying to learn the language. I was not getting good grades. When I was coming back home, there was just a lot of stress, and things were just really not going good. And I remember a week or two after I arrived to the United States, I actually started praying. And I said, God, I want to get out of here. I want to get out of the situation. I cannot live here. So I was praying, and I was calling a friend that I met at a camp meeting that we attended on a Sabbath. And I told her, can you please take me with you? I cannot stay at my home anymore. She's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But then that day, I came home and my mom is like, hey, you know, your stepdad and I were talking. It's like, would you be willing to go to a place at a friend's house to stay there for a week so that you can, you know, de-stress yourself? And I was like, whoa, you're telling me this? Like, my heart rejoiced because I saw that God actually answered my prayer. And I didn't have enough, like, I really didn't have like an experience like that before. God really answered my prayer that way. The only times I would pray before, it was gonna, like, if in my life, if I did get in trouble sometimes and I didn't want my mom to find out, I would pray at that time. And that was the only time I would pray so that I would not get in trouble. But before that, it's like, no. But this time I was like, I want to get out of this place. So then I met Trish and Elaine Mandigo. And I packed my things. I put my things in the suitcase, so I left. And that week that I was supposed to be at their house turned into 3 months. And it was that week, that same night that I went to their home, I remember they gave me a room, and I had a bed, and I was sleeping. I remember that was the first day of my life that I fell asleep with a smile in my face. That was the first day. And because I knew that God actually answered my prayer. And I was out of a situation and was with people that were actually really kind and sweet and gentle. And then, so I obviously just wanted to be there for forever. So then, that's why I stayed there for about 3 months. And in those 3 months, my whole life took a 180-degree turn. And why? Because I actually met people that, first of all, we didn't have much in common. But the thing that really drew me is because of their sweetness and gentleness and really how safe the environment was. So as I was there with them, I saw how they were studying their Bibles. And I saw how they had like morning and evening worship. They would come together, they would read the Bible, they would sing. And then I saw the way they were eating. And I was eating healthy before, but you know, they were regular, they were eating together. I saw the way they were working outside, and they were building things. And I saw the way that they had like a little church and their family was going, and I saw the way they had church. I saw the way they were studying, and then I met young people that they were studying the Bible too, and I was like, I've never in my life met people that were studying the Bible. And because usually young people don't do that. And then I saw how this wasn't just like theory. It wasn't just like vain reading the Bible and singing and going to church just to go to church. It was more than that. It was actually reflecting the love of God that I've never seen before. And I saw that they had something that I didn't have. I saw they had something that I wanted. They had fulfillment and joy in their hearts, and I wanted that. And how many of us desire of that joy and peace and happiness to be in our hearts. So the more I was able to stay with them, the more I was able to learn and to just become more acquainted with what they're doing. And I started studying the Bible for myself. I started learning, and I started, like, every day was getting better and better and better, because questions that I had in my life, they were answered in the Bible. And I was able to have just such a great family to be with, and just be around young people that are the same way. So I was starting to change. My vocabulary started to change. At school, I was just like, starting to be different. But then at the end of those 3 months, that was in December 2014, my mom told me, Cristina, I want you to come back. And that day, I thought my heart was going to break. I was like, no way. It's like, imagine this, like, you're at a home that you finally find fulfillment, you finally find joy, and you love the people, and then you're like, you need to get out of there. You need to go, and you need to go back. And in my mind, it's like, I need to go back to where I was before. It was really difficult. And at that time, my mom wasn't even living with her husband. She actually she went to a woman's shelter, because things started to be so rough and so bad that she just decided to leave and come to a shelter. So I knew she was there, and I was like, I cannot go there. It was a really small house, so I had to sleep in the living room, and my closet was in the bathroom. And it was really hard. And at that time, I was like, I was praying, I was crying actually a lot, and I was like, please let me go. I don't want to be here. I want to be with my friends. I want to be with this family. My mom is like, no, let's be together. We're a family. And I can understand, like, my mom wanted some support. My mom wanted somebody that she knew to be with her. And she was in a crisis too. But I was like, no, I don't want to be here. And the more I was telling her, please let me go, the more she was saying no. So I was like, there's nothing I can do. And I was just like, I was so frustrated. I was like, what can I do? The more I tell her, let me go, she's like, no. And at that time, in that trial, is when God actually started teaching me a new lesson. And that was a lesson of trust. And because before, like, when you don't have God in your life, you are the one that is making decisions. You're the one that you have trust in yourself, and you are, trying to do things by yourself. But at that time, I was so powerless that I was like, I need to do something different. I need to change something. So that's when I started, instead of asking my mom, please let me go, I actually started praying. And I was like, I want to be out of this house by the 26th of January, because that's when the semester finishes at school, and I want to be able to start homeschool again. And I didn't want to go to high school anymore. I was just like, no, I don't want to go there. There's nobody there that is the same kind of mindset that I have now. And it was just empty place. It was just so empty for my heart. So I didn't want to go there. I just wanted to continue to homeschool, and then later on just become a veterinary. So I was praying, it's like, I cannot be homeschooled here. There's no internet. I had to go to a window to take the internet, the Wi-Fi from the hospital. So that was kind of difficult, and I had to stand up, and I was trying, and I couldn't even come for church, go to church with my friends. So I was completely, like, taken away from there, and that's so hard. But anyways, like I said, I started learning trust. And it is really through trials that God brings you through that you can learn trust in different things that would help you to come up in life. So as I was starting to pray and leave it in God's hands, that's when actually on the 26th of January, my mom let me go and stay with my family. And that's exactly what I was praying for. And so that day I started doing homeschool, and I was just so grateful. And then here we had different camp meetings, and these are the people that were there. These are the young people. We're building things. As I was there at their house, my friend's house, Trish and Elaine, I was starting to learn true education. And it's not just schooling, but true education. You're learning gardening. You're learning how to take care of your spiritual life, of your mental, of your physical. So I started learning so many skills that I needed in life that I didn't know, and they don't teach you that at school. But I started learning those things And then the friends that I had to give up in Spain, because those friends, they still kind of chose their own ways. I was kind of like, you remember, like, I didn't really want to give my friends up. But then God, when you choose to follow Him, He's going to give you better friends that you've ever had before. Because my friends that I had, that I thought they were good, and my family, they never helped me to grow. They never challenged me to do something better. They never were there to, like, help me through hard situations, or tell me how to overcome, or tell me how to change, or just help me in any way. So God promises us, and if somebody, I don't know if Kathy remembers the verse, when it's talking, like, when you leave father, mother, child, like, God gives you more than what you gave up, like tenfold. And He gave me more friends that I had before that actually are quality friends, and that are there always for me, like a true family that I've never had before. So these were the young people, and I was just so happy. But through that learning and through my friends and things like that, my mom called me again after 3 more months. She's like, Cristina, I found a different house, so you're gonna have to come with me. I don't live in the shelter anymore. And I was like, I remember that day, I was like, I felt like the day when she told me first to come back home, and I didn't want to. But that time was different. I remember taking my suitcase and packing my things, and I had a smile on my face that time. Even though there was sorrow in my heart, I had a smile, because I knew, I was like, you know what? Through the experiences that I went through already, I know that God has a plan. I know that there's another lesson that I can learn that is going to help me in life. So then I went to this house, and in this house there was an old lady that my mom was supposed to take care of. And this lady loves having a lot of people at her house. So there were a couple that was living there in a trailer right next to it, and then another lady in one of the rooms. She was mostly in her room for all the time, but they had a big family and people that were living there. So as I was there in that house, I really wasn't happy, because I thought that, well, I'm not going to go into that story, but I was not happy. I did go with a smile, but then, coming there, I was like, wait a minute, I don't have my friends. And my mom is like, you're not going to see them anymore. I'm not going to let you see them anymore. And I was like, why? And that was another issue. But, like, now, the friends that I had, the things that I was clinging on, and the education that I was getting, it was gone again. And my mom was forbidding me to see them anymore. So I was there in that house, and if it wasn't for the people that were there, it would have been really hard. But I was able to meet the couple, and they were really encouraging. They were Christians, and at that time, I was able to learn how is it that to encourage others. So I was able to have a purpose in that house. I was able to encourage other people and to help other people. So actually, I was happy. I started being more cheerful and happy with where I was because of the friends that I was making. There were different people there to minister, to help. So things started becoming a little easier because of the friends I was making. And then I remember in that house, I had the room up the stairs, and I remember I was really, every morning I was making sure I was studying the Bible, and I was still keeping my spiritual life going. And the more I was studying, the more I was seeing, it's like, whoa, like day by day, God like was showing me different lessons, and I was reading different books, and it was showing that young people have a purpose. And the more I was reading, it's like, what's the purpose of young people in God's plan? So I started reading more and more and more, and I was like, whoa, God has a huge purpose for young people. And I started getting so excited, and I was like, whoa. And it's basically like helping to, it's be such an important part in helping others to know about the truth, to know about God. Because, you guys, there's so many people that are going through struggles, are going through trials, they're going through unfulfillment, they are having so many problems, and their families are being broken, their hearts are being broken, they're going through through empty relationships. They're going through just toxic environments with their family. And here, as I was reading, it's like young people can go and they can help people come out of that and find true fulfillment in life and find a purpose. So the more I was reading, I was like, wow, I want to be a part of this, because I already had a taste of what it means to have a purpose. I had that taste and I was like, I'm not going to let it go, because my life before was empty. I didn't know what to do. I was just waking up for anything, really. But this time I knew a little bit of what it means to have a purpose, and I was like, wow, what is my purpose? Why I was born? What was I born for? And I was asking myself that, and I was like, what can I do? And I remember starting to pray and really meditate upon it. And I was like, oh, I always liked to teach on health. And I always enjoyed that. And in high school, I remember people were asking me about health, and I would tell them, because I would always study about it, and it was a passion of mine. So as I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I could do that. And before, the reason I wanted to be veterinarian, because I hated people. I was like, people are not good. People are putting animals through suffering, and people are just so selfish. So I didn't want to be a doctor and help them. But at this time, because God was changing my heart, I was like, hey, I want to be a medical missionary. I want to help people. So that was a huge change. So as I was seeing that, I was like, I'm taking 5 hours of my day on schooling. And I was like, 5 hours? I'm going to be a full-time worker for God. There's better things for me in that life than studying right now. So instead of finishing my schooling, I said, I'm going to quit. So I quit because I felt like that was taking too much time and it wasn't teaching me the things that I wanted to learn. So then I quit that time, and it was in probably March 2015 that I quit all the schooling. I said, I want to be a full-time worker for God because I want more fulfillment and I want more happiness and joy in my life. So then I didn't know what I was going to do. And I had no idea. And many times when I'm talking to young people and to actually all kinds of people, it's like, yeah, I know God is calling me for something, and I know I have a purpose, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, you don't have to. You just need to put your toe in the water, and God is going to part the water. And that's what I did. I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but I know what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to quit the things that are putting me further away. So I would encourage you, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know your future, because for me, I already knew my future. I knew I was going to be a veterinarian, and we're taught that way. We're taught to have a really long-term vision, and that's good. But sometimes God is just asking you to put day by day, make more steps, and that's what it means to really walk by faith. So in that moment that I was like, yeah, I'm going to quit school. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to quit it because I know it's not helping me. It was really walking by faith, because I didn't know what's going to happen in the future. I didn't know what was going to happen with my family, if my mom was going to let me or not. But anyways, I did it anyways, and I think God really worked with my mom's heart, because she didn't say anything about it. And I think it was easy, the transition, because I was already homeschooled, so it was easier to kind of like accept that. And then my mom was like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I just know I shouldn't do this. And she's like, well, there's a wellness center in Illinois, 3 hours from Chicago, that you can go to, and they're teaching medical missionary work. And I was like, and I don't know what was going through well, actually I do. I didn't want to go to that school. And that's like so crazy, because I wanted to be a medical missionary, but I didn't want to go there because I didn't want to give up my friends that actually I started being able to see my friends, the family, for a few Sabbaths. So I didn't want to give them up. I was like, no, now I'm going to go even further. And that was like, still I was clinging on earthly things. And then I was like, yeah, I don't even have the money. And then I didn't have rest. My peace was gone. My happiness was gone. And I was like, what's going on? I'm losing it. And at that moment, I was like, okay, Lord, I see you're calling me to go to that school, because all my peace and everything just went out because I didn't want to follow him in that situation. And then I was like, okay, if you make sure that I have the money to go to that school, I'll go. Within 2 days, I had all the money to go to the school. And in those 2 days, I was able to go there. And the school actually started in in August. It started in August. So I was looking forward to it. And this is the wellness center, and we were able to learn how to cook. We were able to learn how to take care of people. And since that was a wellness center, it was more than just a school. It was like hands-on, and that's the best way to learn, is hands-on. They were teaching me things, and then patients would come, and I was able to help with the treatments. So that was amazing. And then I was able to make so many friends. And what was the next experience that I learned? Well, the next experience that I learned is actually, in that place, there were people that were coming there that were more broken than I was before. Those people that went through hard lives, people that had diseases, people that were depressed, people that had no joy in their lives anymore, and people that were about to die. And those people were going through, imagine, it was rough. And I was there after I just learned about, joy and I was reading the Bible and I was studying and all these kind of things. And then I see these people, I'm seeing the brokenness in their hearts. And I was there in the midst of them. And it was there at that wellness center that actually started helping them. I actually started talking to them and encouraging them. And words cannot describe, like when you're sitting down with somebody and they're broken, and you're talking to them, and you're seeing their face, you're seeing their tears run down their cheeks, and you're talking, and they're just like without hope. But the more you talk, the more the tears stop running down, the more a smile starts coming in their faces, the more hope you see in their life, the more light you see in their countenance. That changes your life. Because as you're talking to them and as you're choosing to help somebody else, it's like there's nothing else more fulfilling when you see that person rise, when you see that person, like their pieces come together. And there are mothers there that are like, I'm seeing you and I have hope for my son. Because those mothers were like, my son is like, they're just like, they don't want anything to do. And I was sharing with them my testimony. And as I was seeing those people go through that and heal, and emotionally and physically and just all those ways, that's when I actually saw that was my purpose in life. That was to actually help me, to actually help people grow, to help people develop and help people get that joy and know what their purpose, and help them through life. And why does that work like that? Because there's studies that show that when a person helps somebody else, that actually creates different hormones in our bodies that makes us feel good inside. And it creates, and even those hormones are hormones that are strengthening bones, are hormones that are actually boosting our immune system. Because just the act of serving somebody else, like your body becomes healthier. And there are studies on that. I wish I had it on this presentation, that it shows how your body gets healthier and you are happier in life when you help somebody else. So that's what I was experiencing. And at that moment, what I wanted to say is that in Matthew, in the Bible, is talking how Christ, right before he went up to heaven, after he resurrected, he said to his disciples, go ye therefore and teach all nations, right? And it's like, go and teach and tell them what I taught you. And because I will give you a comforter. You will have the Holy Spirit to do this. You will have the knowledge. You're going to have a comforter with you to help you through anything, and is going to give you all the power and everything that you need to do this work. And you know what? That wasn't just his disciples. If you read, there's actually more than 500 people that actually heard that calling. So that calling wasn't just for his disciples. That calling was for you and me. And what happens when we choose to follow the purpose that God had for us, because he's the creator of our bodies. He created us. He created the world. He knows what's going to satisfy mankind. So once you start to follow that purpose, which is serving others and choosing to do that commission, which I didn't know at the beginning when I started this journey, that was what God was calling me to, but He was preparing my mind for it. That's when actually my life just started becoming the best. Every day was becoming was getting better and better and better and better. And even if there were trials, because I had lots of them, still I was able to go through them differently and with joy. So after I came back from the wellness center, I wanted to start my own ministry. And this is a health ministry that I wanted to do. And this is the website that I started to build. But then as I was building my own website, I was trying to help people with their health and do consultations and things like that. Somebody from another ministry contacted me. And it's like, Cristina, we need some help in our ministry. Can you help us? Can you volunteer and help us with some jobs that we have? And I was like, sure. I was still in the middle of doing this website and building my own ministry. But at this time, something just told me, do it. So I chose to do it. And that day, it was December 2015. That was right after I came back from the wellness center. And that's when I started doing what I loved. I had a love for graphic design, so they gave me a position to be a graphic designer. So I started doing graphic design, and I was able to share the truth online with people. And then I saw the effect that had on people, and people were able to learn about the truth just through graphics. Because the commission that Christ gave us, it doesn't mean that you're going to go out in the streets, you're going to put up some stage and you're going to preach. That's not what it is. That's not the only way. One way that you can do is you're like, okay, what's my talents? What do I enjoy? And you can use that to help other people. So in that time, I was really excited about graphic design. So I started doing that. And little by little, I started becoming more involved with this ministry. And the amazing thing with this ministry, it was that there was a team of people. In my ministry, I was just myself. But here, I was able to work with young people that had the same desire as I did. And I was able to grow more. I was able to become even more happy. I was able to meet more people. So my life just was coming together. And then there was a missionary training school in Oregon that Enoch Leffingwell was the teacher at, and he's the director of Walk Scout Ministries. And I decided to go there at the school. So then I started learning gardening. We started going to, we also did outings, so we went to caves and we did different things. I started learning more how to cook healthfully, and I started even learning how to build some things, and it was so fun. It was just a 6-month school that you were there with lots of young people, and you were able to learn practical skills in life. And we were able to do a wilderness survival, and I think that right there is my shelter, if I'm not mistaken. It was so cozy. I made it, and it was so comfortable. But yeah, that was so exciting to learn all these kind of things. And we also had some Bible classes, and we also did some door-to-door kind of colporteur work, and I was able to learn those kind of skills in life, and I was just so happy. But there was a time that even at that school, my mom wanted to get me out of that school because she was not happy with me being there. So she was really trying for me to leave. She was not agreeing with me being there, and I was like, please don't take this away. I was praying, Lord, don't take this away from me. And things started becoming really, really hot there, really intense. And I don't need to go into detail, but I remember that trial, that's another lesson that God taught me through that, is how to go through problems, through trials. And I learned, and this is one of the most important lessons you can learn too, because we all go through problems. We all go through stuff in life that it's not good. But once you know how to go through them and receive them as educators, those trials will produce joy. Those trials or mistakes that you make, they can become stepping stone for something better in your life. So I remember reading this verse every day, Psalms 55:22. That was the verse that helped me to go through any trial that I was going through at that school. It was like, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. And I was like, I don't want to be moved. I want to be here safe. And he answered my prayers. And I was able to learn from those trials and receive them with joy. It's like, I know this is hurting. I know this is hard. But I was praying, it's like, Lord, what is the lesson you're trying to teach me? And it was like really to learn how to be thankful for the trials that you're receiving, because that's going to help you later in life to learn how to do different things and to have a different outlook in life and to be able to help others through the trials that you go through. So we were also staying in tents, so we didn't really have cabins. We were staying in tents, and this is not the tents from there. This is actually from Google, because I didn't have any pictures of my tent. But this is nice with grass. What we had there was sand. It was dust. It was so dry. I mean, that's the driest place in Oregon that you can see. It was like a desert, and so this is like the opposite. But as it was one night, I was in a tent, and I'm talking to you about this because this has been one of the most life-changing experiences. So it was night, and I was staying in my tent. I was reading. I think I was reading a book or something, and then that was a night when I saw another purpose that God has called me to. And that was, I started seeing how important leadership was. And I thought that leadership was just for boss or for a president or for a teacher or for whatever else, but I'm not a leader, right? So that night, I understood what leadership was. I understood leadership is intentional influence. It's having a good influence upon the people that are around you. And also learning how to work with people, learning how to manage things well. Because my dream with Walks Well Ministries was to have a place that our team can come together, because before we were all kind of scattered in different places. So my dream was to come together in a place, work, and have a school. And I was like, I've seen how schools go down because of bad management, bad leadership, bad teachers. And I was like, I do not want that for our ministry. So that was the day when I started learning about leadership, and my passion just on leadership started growing more and more, because I'm like, wow, this is a lot of amazing things that people can learn. So I started teaching classes on leadership, and I started, and our team actually started coming together because all of us started learning about leadership, and we started working forward. We started being so much more productive and effective as gospel workers, as we're commissioned to do what God has commissioned for us to do. And one of the fruit of our labors was that we started an online church. And the first time we had the online church, like 200 people came, and we started having more and more online church, and there were people coming from all over the world coming to come to listen to the truth. And we were able to, like, people that were Muslim, that they don't believe in God, they do, but it's different. They came to this church and like, wow, here's where I learned the gospel. And there's just more and more people that were alone, that couldn't go to church, that they didn't have a church in their country because they were forbidden to. And there's just so many situations, like people that are out in the woods that cannot go anywhere. They were able to finally come to church and fellowship together. That church gives you a chat to speak together. It translates a lot of languages, so we're able to, if I'm speaking in Spanish, you can understand, you can read it in English. So it was amazing how everything was coming together. And the church started in February 4th, 2017. And that was the fruit of all of us working together and learning leadership. And then in March, I believe, March, I moved with the Manigo family. They were the ones that were with me since the beginning. And I moved from my house because my house started becoming a toxic place. And I know, and I want to talk about this because many of us, young people, or even older people, we're in homes, we're in situations that we're afraid to leave. We're afraid to leave our family, we're afraid to leave our friends, we're afraid to leave a situation, a place, a job. But I want to share because I went through that same stuff. Like, in my house, I was not allowed to do what God is calling me to do. And in my house, there was a lot of screaming and noise and just things that were not good. And I saw that this is not doing good for me. This is not allowing me to move forward in life. And I chose to, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I chose to move in faith, and I chose to leave that situation. And I know this is one of the hardest things that when a person starts to follow their plan in life are going to go through, is your family, they're going to tell you, don't do it. First of all my family was against me. All the people that were around me were against what I was doing. But I had such a strong desire to follow what God has for me, and God honors that. When God sees that you have a strong purpose, He's going to help you. So I want to encourage you, don't be afraid. If you're in one of those situations and you see how you can do something better, I would say trust God, because He has a purpose. And if you choose, and if you're like, here I am, send me, He's going to send you. He's going to help you find something better. So the best decision, one of the best decisions that I made in my life was leave a toxic situation, leave a place that was not good for myself. So once I left and I went to a different place that had the people that could help me, had the people that helped me to grow, that's where I went with this family of young people. So I stayed there with them for about a month, because in a month we got called to go to California, and we were just supposed to be there in California for like 1 month. And that was John and Kathy that let me see. Oh, hey, I have a few more pictures over here. See, these are some other pictures of things that we were able to do together. And it was fun. Like, we were able to spend some time and just travel together and do activities and just learn. So I really enjoyed that. And then just being in the country, like, this is like behind us, we just wanted to build a small campfire for marshmallows, and we ended up building this massive bonfire. Like, it had like whole trees in there. So we went big on there, but it was fun. Like, I was really having a lot of fun with them. So anyways, in about a month as I was there, we got a call. We were like, hey, we need some medical missionaries. That was John and Kathy. John was in a bad health condition, and Enoch was actually living with them at the time. And I don't have time to go through that story. That's an amazing story. How God provided a place for the ministry to like become the headquarters and to start a school. So God was calling us to go to California and to work as medical missionaries for 1 month. So we came to California. And that's John and Kathy, and then there's Enoch, Victoria, Renelle, that she came from Canada to also help, and myself, and that's the falls that's right there in our backyard, and kind of backyard. And that month actually became, like, from March 2017 until today. Like, I'm still here. We're still here because God has made this place be our home and be the place where the ministry is operating out of. And we didn't know that at the beginning, and our parents didn't know that either, but we just came and we stayed for a year, and now Renelle and Victoria left, and I stayed here, and now we have continually different people coming. So here's us having lunch together. This was actually after a fire that we had around. And some of the things that we're doing, like, we started going out and doing health meetings and meeting different people. Joy, that lady on the left with the red scarf, she asked us, she's like, can you teach me how to pray? I want to learn. And people like that would come, it's like, I want to learn how to pray and how to meditate and stuff. So we had a Bible study with her. So we're able to help other people grow and find their fulfillment in life. We started doing other in-home health meetings. Here was teaching and Alita was translating what I was saying in Spanish. And those people were sick. Those people were also looking for something better in their lives. So we were able to help. That's more of the group photo. All of us that went there. Also, I started teaching more on live blood cell analysis, things that I've learned from the medical missionary school. We're able to have morning and evening worship. And at first it was just for our team, but then it's like, why don't we open it to the public? So we opened it and people started coming to worship and families started coming. It's like, whoa, finally I'm able to have regularity in my home. Finally I'm able to do things that matter in my day, because they made the change to come to worship. And they were just so happy. People from the UK, from Guyana, from all over the United States started coming to our worship, and we're able to fellowship together. And this is still going on today. We still open this, and there's still young people and all kinds of people coming and encouraging each other. We sing together and we learn different lessons together. And we also go to places. We go to Yosemite. We live right here.
That's our backyard.
Yosemite is our backyard, really. And we are able to travel. Here is Half Dome. We climbed Half Dome. And this is on top of Half Dome. And it was intense climbing Half Dome, but I loved it. We also went to Zion National Park. And we went there because we were going to a health convention. And, missionary life, people think this is boring. People think that when you follow God, your life becomes more boring and it's not worth it. But I'm going to tell you, it doesn't compare with what you're doing right now. Because once I started to do what God was calling me to do, that's when adventures started coming in. Like, there's so many things that you do not expect that happen. There's so many times that I had to fly out and to travel and to go to places because somebody needed you. Like, all the time there's like, if you love adrenaline, like, this life is for you, because you're just going to different places. People are calling you. You're traveling. You're helping others. You're just like, all the time there's something to do. All the time, and anything that you do is fulfilling your heart. It's not empty. And it's like making you happier, and it gets you out of depression if you are. And it's like, the more we're doing that, it's like amazing. And being able to be with a team of people that are there with you, friends. And I would not trade this for anything. And I really like this quote. It says, "Let the world see that life with Christ is no failure." Many people think it's failure. It's not worth it. But today, I'm able to teach other people to find their purpose in life. I'm able to do what I love. I'm able to teach people about health and see them how they're getting healthier and happier. I'm able to teach young people that want to do service for God how to do service for God. And people are coming here to the school to learn how to work, how to build, how to garden. And we're about to, soon we're going to learn how to garden. And one of the verses that helped me so much in my experience was Isaiah 55. Isaiah 55, 8 and 9. And I would like to read that, because this verse was the verse that made a whole difference in my life. That was the verse that brought me to actually choose to follow God. So Isaiah 55, 8 and 9. And it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Now, God knows the end from the beginning. God knows my personality. God knows who I am, what I love, who I can become. God has faith in me of who I can be. And He says, I have higher thoughts than you do, higher ways than you do. And I'm like, whoa, then that means that I cannot even fathom, I cannot even imagine what kind of life I would have when I follow God. So that was the time I was like, you know what, I'm going to follow, even though I don't know what's going to happen, I'm going to follow this because he has better plans than I do for myself. Why not? And the greatest thing is that you get to have a best friend, which is Christ. And before that, I didn't know that Christ could be my best friend. But the more you're going through stuff like this, the more you're going to have somebody that will never fail you. And that will always, 100% of the time, be next to you if you allow him to. Because it is our choice if we want him to be at our side. You will have somebody to be there in your trials and your sorrows, when you want to make a decision, when you're wanting to know what to do. He's going to be right there next to you. And God is giving you a team of people, because he hasn't called us to be alone, but with a team of people, with a body that would encourage you. So I would encourage you, if you're in a time in your life that you're not sure what to do, you're a time in your life that you know that maybe God is calling you for something, but you don't know, you're kind of afraid of stepping out of your comfort zone, or going here or going there, I would encourage you, don't be afraid. Do it. Step on the water, and he will part the waters. As you see how in my experience, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how my life was going to be different. But now, today, you're seeing how my life is completely different than what I had before. And how many more young people, all these young people that you see in these pictures, they all went through the same experience. They all had dreams and plans for their lives, but then there was a point in their life that they are like, no, this is not working. And they didn't know what was going to happen, but today they're able to be happy, they're able to help others. So that's what I wanted to share for my testimony, and I hope that this was an encouragement and inspiring. And I would say, fear not, because God is right there with you, and you can't even imagine what he has for you. Alright, so I am going to close with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for the different experiences and for the different trials, for the different things that you have brought me to, and for the family you have given me, and for the different joys and sorrows that I went through. I want to thank you for each of those times, and I want to thank you that you have brought me to places that hurt my heart so much, that it was then, in my loneliness and in my brokenness, that I chose to follow you, because I knew you had a better plan for my life. And I ask that you may do that with the people that are hearing this, and the people that are going to listen and watch this video. I pray that each of the people that are listening to this, I pray that you may inspire them, and that you may help them to choose something better for their lives, and to choose to follow you, and to not let fear nor obstacle to stop them for a more fulfilled life, filled with people that love them, filled with a family, filled with adventures. And I just ask that you may come to our hearts, and that each of us may choose to open that door in our heart to receive you, because honestly we do not know what it means, how our life can be when you actually come in. And I just ask that you may help us to have the courage and the faith to truly walk by faith and not by sight. Sometimes we may not see the end from the beginning, but that's not our job. And I ask that you may help us with this work, for I know that you have a purpose and a calling for each of us. And I ask that you may please forgive us for the times that we just chose to not follow you, and thought that we knew something better. I just ask that you may forgive us, and at this time you may help us to choose you today, that we may choose today whom we will serve. And I pray that each of us may choose you. And I thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.